If you crash landed on a hostile alien planet and all you had to defend yourself with were hundreds of little plant creatures half your size, how long do you think it would take before you blasted off into the stratosphere at the top of the food chain? My name is Sass and this is my pal Click Clock.
Hey everyone!
And on today's episode of Exhaustive Escapades, we're asking, how long would it take to 100% Pikmin 1? But first we gotta define what 100% means. The goal of Pikmin is to regain all 30 parts of Olimar's ship within 30 days. These 30 parts are scattered throughout 5 levels, but we must have a certain amount of ship parts in order to access future areas. In order to get the neutral ending, you only need the 25 essential parts. But on Exhaustive Escapades, we go all the way. That means we'll be tussling with every boss and mini-boss we can get our hands on just for the street cred, as well as nabbing every single space shuttle part to bring the SS Dolphin back to Hakatot looking like we just drove it off the lot. So I made a couple handy little lists that we can check off as we go along. Now, let's get cracking! We start our adventure like most of my Saturday mornings, waking up in the middle of nowhere after being knocked unconscious, surrounded by the vestiges of memories once held so dear. Now a ruined pyre burning away the life I once knew. Hey, don't you think that's a little too revealing? We approach a strange object in the ground that bursts forth and produces a seed. This seed quickly grows into a stalk and then a full-fledged red Pikmin that we curiously pluck from the ground and immediately set to work. We'll be needing a great mini Pikmin to survive this alien planet, but with every resource available in this current area, we're only able to grow 25. This is more than enough to move the box blocking the way forward, as well as ferry the first of our space shuttle parts back to our ruined hull. Luckily, the first part we find is the ship's engine, which allows us to escape into the planet's atmosphere for the evening, since the planet's predators become active at night. And while we rest our weary head and contemplate the grand adventure ahead of us, we set our sights on a nearby forest grove that we aptly name the Forest of Hope. The next morning, we land in that forest grove and begin the tedious process of killing everything in sight, as well as harvesting the corpses to further our own ends. There's mostly nothing in this beginner area that poses a serious threat except these large bulborbs. That's why we raise our numbers to about 70 before we give them the old attack them while they're sleeping maneuver. Classic! Nearby is our eternal fuel dynamo, and while we hold that back to the SS Dolphin, we awaken another onion. This one spews out a seed that grows into a yellow Pikmin. These yellow Pikmin are a bit weaker than their red brethren, but boast these really large ears that allow them to be thrown at twice the normal height. They are also the only ones that can carry these bomb rocks. For some reason. What, do red Pikmin not have thumbs? Anyway, we're gonna feed a bunch of our kills to the yellow Pikmin to get their numbers up, and go about the Forest of Hope bombing as many walls as possible before the day is over. Along the way, we pick up our whimsical radar, which will allow us to check a minimap whenever we please. We're already 2 parts richer after our first real day of recovery efforts, and have many more to go. After defeating a meager amount of large bulborbs and dwarf bulborbs, which aren't related for some reason, we find our Nova Blaster, as well as a bevy of bomb rocks to burst any blockades we come by. Blasting this hard wall yields the extraordinary bolt, and definitely not accidentally sending a bunch of Pikmin to their deaths, but instead doing the smart thing and taking this board from behind like a college dorm Chad. We locate the shock absorber and just shove that little guy right in there. We end the day by making the most of the carcasses laying around and increasing our numbers as high as possible. Since we've obtained at least 5 parts total, we can now head further inland, which means the Forest Naval is now open for business. Day 3 is over, and we can call 6 ship parts our own. I mean, they were already our own, it's just that they're back now. Look, it's a complicated endeavor, man. Not everything is black and white, just roll with it. We could head back into the Forest of Hope, but there's one other Pikmin type that we need in order to obtain everything there. So mission numero uno is adding its specialized skills to our ranks. The Forest Naval is spooky. It's dark, filled with monsters and fire, and it has sand. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it just gets everywhere. The first thing we do is head to the final onion, surrounded by water. It spits out a seed that grows into a blue Pikmin. Can you guess what blue Pikmin do? Well, it's certainly not being fireproof. I checked. We're initially attacked by the bread bug mini-boss simply by having salvageable loot on the ground, but after 2 knocks to the old dome, it gives up the ghost as well as the space float that we're looking for. After using the red Pikmin's fire immunity to safely clear out all of these fiery blowhogs, we locate the gravity jumper and a few bomb rocks that we use to put in a dent in the outrageous amount of walls that this location has to offer. Day 4 ends with an impressive 8 parts to our name and a bottom-feeding mini-boss slain. The next day, we head back back into the forest navel with our newly formed troop of blue Pikmin and clear out the Wollywog population. Not only because they're guarding our precious anti-dioxin filter, but because all Wollywogs deserve to die as painful a death as manageable. After spending even more bomb rocks to blow open even more walls, we come face to face with the titanic, beady Longlegs boss. Yellow Pikmin are the name of the game here, and with their superior throwing arc abilities, we take him down with only enough fatalities to keep me up at night for the next couple years. Nestled inside the beady Longlegs gooey dome was the guard satellite, which we have the red Pikmin fairy, since apparently flame geysers are a common sight on this alien planet. Plopped on the other side of this gap lays the automatic gear, which is a simple matter to obtain after creating this bridge. We end our 5th day of recovery with 11 parts recovered, a colossal boss taken care of, and 1 part away from unlocking a new area. Let's finish up the forest navel, shall we? We first start by collecting a healthy amount of blue Pikmin and grabbing the nearby #1 Ionium Jet. We then grab a particular amount of the other 2 colors of Pikmin and set out to collect 2 more parts. It's really interesting to get these 2, so let me gush about the whole ordeal for a bit. With our 100 Pikmin in tow, we tear down this wall, avoid the flame geysers, and leave our major group to focus on repairing this bridge. We use our blue Pikmin to pull our analog computer out of the water and then swap them out for red Pikmin so that they can face tank the flames without a heck or darn given. Across the newly formed bridge, we again use blue Pikmin, this time to activate a water geyser that will boost us up to this ledge here. We bring a small amount of yellow Pikmin with us since we need their increased height, and like taking a screenshot of an NFT from a crypto bro, we procure our Libra with a smile on our face and a song in our hearts. After returning our posse and swapping them out for a band of strictly red Pikmin, we head into the deepest depths of the forest navel and challenge the Puff Stool, who is a complete pushover, by the way. Seriously, this guy couldn't handle a light bit of cyberbullying, let alone a full online cancellation. So we do him a favor and take his corpse as well as the incredibly vital Omega Stabilizer back to our ship and end the day with a satisfying 4 parts gained to make our total 15. Another mini-boss taken down and successfully deplatformed, a new area ready to go, and the thought that I'll never have to come back to the forest navel in this playthrough ever again. Seriously. Screw this place. Now, normally I'd take this time to go back to the 2 previous areas and clean them up before proceeding since I'm OCD like that, but we're actually under a time crunch. See, the original Pikmin is weird, and certain mini-bosses are actually time sensitive, so we're immediately heading into the newly opened Distant Spring to tackle them head on. The Distant Spring is just like the name sounds, wet and really far away. But we're here now, so it's getting renamed to the Right Here Spring. To prepare for the oncoming threat, I grab a single blue Pikmin and 99 reds since they have the highest damage output. We take the singular blue Pikmin and head to this part of the map where the sleeping beast awaits. Now, they say to let sleeping dogs lie, but I'm pretty sure this isn't a dog, and therefore that advice doesn't apply. So we kick the proverbial hornet's nest and awaken the Smoky Prog.
What is that?
I'm almost certain this thing's a demon in disguise. It's so evil that it's like the first spirit you fight in the world of light. So you gotta know, even Nintendo remembers this thing, even if they don't remember the entire Pikmin franchise. Oh my god, can you guys just announce Pikmin 4 already? My personal gripes aside, the Smoky Prog is really easy to beat if you get him to stand still under an onion, which sounds just as stupid as it sounds. Like, yeah, if it stands still and doesn't do anything, it's really easy to beat. Duh! Unfortunately, we weren't so lucky, so we had to do it the old-fashioned way, with pot shots and a quick retreat to prevent the brave Pikmin from being instantly vaporized by whatever cloud of miasma this thing trails behind it. With that out of the way, we go about the rest of the day as normal, grabbing the nearby repair-type bolt with some blue Pikmin and repairing this bridge that allows us to retrieve the massage machine after nuking this spotty bulbor from orbit. Die, you son of a bitch! Given how much time we wasted fighting this Smoky Prog, we use what little sunlight there is left to clear out as many of these spotty bulbers and walls as possible. We end the day with a fabulous 2 parts regained and 1 monstrous mini-boss exercised from this mortal plane. Normally this is where I go back to the other levels, but given enemies only respawn in areas after a certain amount of days have passed, it's best to stick with the level you're currently on to prevent having to redo all the hard extermination work you've already done. So we're committing to the Right Here Spring until it's all done. We start by grabbing a full party of blue Pikmin and head into the back end of the spring, where we defeat a blowy blowhog that was selfishly holding on to our interstellar radio.
To XNOS, exporting nostalgia episodes.
I'll be damned. That's a good show. On the way back to our ship, we make sure to annihilate any yellow Wollywogs we come across because, like I've said, all Wollywogs gotta die. While we let our blues handle bridge construction duty, we grab a ton of bomb rocks and set out to take down any of the walls that stand in our way. Today was more general prep than anything, so we only ended up getting a single part, but a ton of progress was made, opening up up the rest of the level for some serious recovery efforts. The next day, we grab some blues and have them work on a wall, while having our other Pikmin grab this glue-on drive that was across the bridge we built yesterday. Behind the wall is our zirconium rotor that we eagerly sent back to the ship while we grab a ton of reds that we use to prepare this bridge. We're gonna want a full party of our best damage dealers since we're going up against the Armored Cannon Beetle. This big guy's impervious to damage until we let him give one of our Pikmin the good suck, which causes him to freak out and expose that luscious, tender meat under his steely exterior. With enough flowery red Pikmin, this guy drops like a sack of potatoes, and we dab the bowspread off of him in the aftermath. Hard to believe that this thing was inside of him, huh? Nature's just amazing like that. With all that done, we're 3 ship parts richer, 1 boss down, and 1 Pikmin mistake away from me walking every single one of them into the murky depths surrounding us. Seriously, how is this the species we're supposed to root for? One final trip into the spring, and we're done. So let's get to it. We start by grabbing a few yellow Pikmin and handling this little maze puzzle to net us the UV lamp. Afterwards, we swap out every single yellow for a full band of blues and head into the wettest part of the level. We grab the number 2 Ionium jet over here and head over to the kind of middle of nowhere to find the pilot seat. Huh, really makes you wonder what we've been sitting on this whole time. Like, this thing's apparently one of the vital ship parts we need, so I'm freaking out over the possibilities of what we've been substituting it for. Mother of God. Bad creepypasta notions aside, it's puzzle time! And by puzzle, I mean transforming a bunch of blue Pikmin into yellow Pikmin because we need to get to a high area surrounded by water. And then, having blue Pikmin take this Chronos reactor back to the SS Dolphin. I guess you're supposed to turn the yellows back into the blues since they put a candy pop butt here, but I'm too lazy for that. So I just vibed until the blues got the Chronos reactor back to the ship and just ended day. Don't ask me how Olimar got those yellows across a completely unnavigatable expanse of water without getting them killed. With that monstrous day completed, we finished up the distant spring with 25 parts now accounted for. Looking good, everyone. Looking good. Even if we were only able to get a single ship part a day from now on, we'd still have an extra 15 days to do whatever we wanted to. Speaking of, I wonder if we can max out that Pikmin counter. Questions for later. For now, it's cleanup duty, and we're setting our sights on the Forest of Hope. We start off by heading into the water here and building this bridge that we couldn't before. Look at how far we've come! Even the elements bend to our whimsy. With the bridge built, we can safely grab the Sagittarius. We also set our blues to work opening 2 boss chambers, one by knocking down this wall, another by moving this box out of the way. You'd think it'd be treacherous navigating this narrow gap with Pikmin that can easily drown. And you're right! We've got balls of steel though, and a short attention span, so we head in guns blazing and instantly aggro 2 of the burrowing Snagrets and get a ton of our Pikmin killed. Oh yeah, burrowing Snagrets. These bird snakes aren't all too difficult if you fight one at a time. Just overwhelm them with damage and try to fish for a moment when they get stuck in the ground to swarm them before they have a chance to escape. After defeating all 3, even though only the last one has a ship part, we liberate the Geiger counter from their slimy gullet. Pretty sure it was possible to get the other boss in today, but like a shopaholic during a Christmas sale, I fumbled the bag. So the next day, we take on yet another Armored Cannon Beetle, and much like his distant spring counterpart, becomes just another evolutionary footnote in the Pikmin story. We also nab the Radiation Canopy from the battle, and just like that, we're only 2 parts away from cruising out of here with the only loss being our PTO hours we've been meaning to use anyway. We're now sitting at 28 ship parts down, as well as another 2 bosses to add to the kill count. It's actually really great that we're coming back to the impact site so late, since 2 mini bosses only start spawning here after a certain amount of days have passed. Since it's an odd number day that we're returning on, we get to encounter Gulix. This boss's body is entirely made of water, which makes it child's play to defeat with the blue Pikmin. It just takes a century and a half to take down since it apparently has 1,000,000 health for some reason. Since we've already got a ton of blue Pikmin out, we head into the back of the level and rescue our positron generator from the clutches of these evil clams.
Clams?
That's what I said, yes. Now, I know I hinted that perhaps there was a possibility that you could max out the Pikmin counter, and God knows I've tried. We do love to go all the way here at Exhaustive Escapades, but unfortunately, after getting all the way to 999 Pikmin in a particular onion, it just rolls over into the negatives and starts counting from 0 again. Super bummer, but at least we tried. Nevertheless, while farming for Pikmin, we headed back to the impact site once more to tackle the even-date mini-boss that spawns here, the Mamuta. This is barely a mini-boss since technically it's not even aggressive, but there's a spot here on my list that fits your description, so your cold dead body is coming with me. And with that, we've collected almost every part as well as defeated every mini-boss and boss except for one. So we unlock the final area and face our final trial in the final trial. The final trial is one big puzzle that utilizes every facet that our Pikmin have at their disposal. We begin by having a ton of blues work on a bridge while we grab a few yellows and parkour around this cliff to nab some bomb rocks. We destroy the wall and swap out our blues for reds, then get to work on another bridge, while we take a small band across this fire pit infested hellscape to push a cardboard box out of the way. We knock down a few walls and suit up with bomb rocks before aggroing the final boss of the game, Emperor Bulblax. He is an absolutely staggeringly large enemy that can only be stunned if he inhales a bomb rock. Sometimes, if you time it right, you can get a yellow Pikmin to throw his bomb rock directly into the mouth, but most of the time you're kamikazing them right into his maw so that you have enough time to land some damage on him. After a long and hard-fought battle, the massive beast finally falls and spits out the last ship part that we're looking for, the secret safe. After hauling that and His Majesty's catatonic remains back to the SS Dolphin, we've officially beaten the game 100%. But how'd we do? We woke up with nary a singular hope to our name, but over the course of just 17 days, we collected all 30 ship parts to repair the SS Dolphin, defeated every single boss, including optional ones like the Gulix, Smoky Prague, and Mamuta, conquered each individual zone, and reaped the bountiful spoils for ourselves, and sailed off into the sunset knowing that the Pikmin we helped create will absolutely ruin the ecosystem of a planet they clearly shouldn't be the top of the food chain on. This video in its entirety was streamed on my Twitch channel. Any and all challenges and footage gathering are streamed there by me, Sassy. Give it a follow and come say hi whenever I'm live. I'd love to see you there. Also, if you enjoy my content and want to go the extra mile and help me not have to have a job so that I can do this gig full time, give my Patreon a look-see. You can throw me a couple smackaroons every month and get your name in every single one of my future videos, like these wonderfully sassy individuals right here. A big thank you to Michaela Savage, HUK4May, and Gideon King for believing in me and my work. Y'all are awesome. Now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna take care of some potassium-related business. See y'all next time!